Nobody cares about your logo. What does matter is your brand. And no, a logo is not a brand. That's just something you design. A brand is something you prove. It's your story. And that story should always be tied to a burning passion. It's why Michael Jordan had the iconic "for the love of the game" clause in all of his contracts. Yes, he ultimately became a marketing machine and a branding empire, but that all stemmed from his love and commitment to the game of basketball. That passion for what you do drives consistency, develops mastery, and creates longevity. Everyone wants the benefits of building a personal brand, but very few are committed to the craft that creates one that lasts. In this video, I'm breaking down Michael Jordan's approach further to show you why you don't need any tricks or gimmicks to create the life you desire. You simply need a strong foundation. Let's get to the point. What's up, y'all? If you're new to the channel, I'm Derek, the marketing point guard, and here we take trending topics and insights from sports marketing and culture and give you the tips and tricks to help you build your personal brand. Today is a topic I'm really excited about. Not only does it involve the GOAT and my favorite player of all time, but it's a simple truth that I think will resonate with you. So without further ado, if you're new here, again, subscribe. I'm trying to grow the channel, so I appreciate your support. And let's get into today's topic. Diving into Michael Jordan. Now, at the top of the basketball season, I told y'all that this MJ's Insights to Excellence on NBA on NBC was going to be a gold mine. Now, at first, I thought it was actually going to be him, like in the studio, kind of live breaking down games and stuff. But what it's turned out to be is one pre-tape segment that they did pre-season, and they're just kind of slow dripping it out. And so we've gotten a couple segments now, and each one creates very new conversation. And I don't think anyone has even been 5 minutes. So again, GOAT stuff, just like driving all this conversation off a clip. But what I loved about this recent one that Jordan got into was a conversation on the love of the game. Now, if you're unfamiliar, Michael Jordan notoriously had one of the most famous kind of amendments or clauses within his contract that became known as the love of the game clause. Now, this allowed him to play in any random pickup game, outside, in the park, when we would go back to UNC in the off seasons and train with the players. You know, Jordan is big business and a huge brand, and obviously a lot of people are invested in or were invested in his playing career and performance. So, you know, you always have things in your contract where, you know, like you can't ride motorcycles, you can't ride certain rides because of risk of injury. But Jordan always wanted to make it clear that he was going to get shots up whenever, wherever. Now, that could just be tied to his psycho competitive nature. And he could be driving down the street in North Carolina and see some kids playing and be like, you know what? I got to go show them who the GOAT is. But outside of that, though, it's also just speaks to his love for basketball. And that's what he was trying to communicate or just talk about. Like, it's something that he loves deeply and passionately. And there's no way you get to the heights in the game that he gets to without being obsessed with it, loving it. Like I said, that's what allows you to get trainers, even though you've won back-to-back MVPs, to take your game to the next level. It's this just love and passion and burning desire to be the best, to learn, to grow, to build. And so within the dialogue with him and Mike Tirico, he kind of talked about logos and brands, and I started to see some people taking his words the wrong way, and that's to put it slightly. And how Jordan was saying players are now coming into the game with their brands top of mind, right? And they're looking to build out their portfolios and do all these amazing things to support their families and express and lean into all these other interests. But his whole thing is like, you got to keep the main thing, and you can't sacrifice what you are here for what it can do for you. And that's what he's kind of commenting on, right? And it's not about the logo, right? Because I saw this one thread where somebody thought they were making a huge point about how Jordan had his logo or had shot the photo that ultimately became his logo before he got into the league. And so it was trying to position Jordan as being hypocritical, because it was like, hey, not only are all of these options possible for players because of all the work that you did, but you also came into the game kind of stamped. Like he was, famously got his Nike deal before even playing the game, had a signature shoe and all that. And, back then that was super unprecedented. And now, even today, players coming into the league with a signature sneaker is pretty rare. Like LeBron is probably one of the last ones to have it on day one. Now with NIL, you start to see it happen a little bit more, but it's still a rare thing. And obviously, you're gonna kind of sound like old man on the couch when you start critiquing anything about the current generation. But there is so much validity in the point that he's actually making and not the point that people are taking and running with. And it's that a logo doesn't matter. A logo is just it's just a symbol. It doesn't mean anything. What is truly valuable and what makes a logo mean anything is the brand and the value that you put into it. It's the stories you tell around, if it's a personal logo, it's the stories you tell as an individual that then infuse that logo with various meaning and personality and emotional connection. If you're a corporation, it's the products you provide and what those products do for people. That's how you build value and equity in a logo, not just by creating one. And to his point, the brand was built on basketball and greatness in basketball. And when you are that dedicated to your craft, to work as hard as he did, as coming in as a highly touted recruit and a top pick, achieving, rookie of the year, defensive player of the year, MVPs, and then the NBA championships start rolling in. Like, you don't develop that mastery without a love of the game. And that mastery is what allows you to become represented by a brand, right? It's what you do consistently. That's how you show up, right? Like the Jordan logo, yes, it's definitely iconic and one of the greatest ones to exist. But if Jordan played for 4 seasons, got hurt, or got his big contract and then didn't do anything anymore, we wouldn't still look back at his logo glowingly. The logo is valuable IP because of all the moments we can go back and connect to it, from the shoe designs, from the shoes that he wore when he did the great things. Like, it's the reason why retros are still so prominent a part of Nike's business now, because they're still pulling on that moment in his greatness. And that greatness became because he loved the game so much that he was like, I got to play this whenever, wherever. And I don't want to get too much into the like doing it for free conversation, because that's a whole another can of worms. But there is something to be said for that, right? Like, Jordan came from the era where you didn't get paid in college, so you did it for free. You played because you actually loved the game. And yes, by, perfecting the craft, you had an opportunity to make life-changing money. And now that money has moved up. And again, with NIL, you get paid in high school, you get paid in college to do it. So it's just interesting because you see a level of longevity in craft start to diminish as you are rewarded earlier, right? And I think that's an interesting conversation now, because that gets into the love of what you're doing in the craft versus the love of the results. And you see it at the NBA on some level. Highly touted players, not gonna say no names, Ben Simmons, get all these opportunities and start to achieve success and get the big contract, and then the games stop developing. They're sitting out more games, they're resting, and then you wind up out the league. And yes, you've made life-changing money, and maybe that was the goal. But if you really want to build a brand that's valuable, you have to be committed to the craft, right? And even looking at the creator economy in this current social landscape, is everybody wants to create content. And not necessarily because they love content, but because they want the results of what they're seeing people get from creating content. And that's, brand deals, that's sponsored content, that's, merchandising, all these other streams of income that can be born from a strong personal brand on social media through video is amazing. I think that's enticing for everybody to kind of create that ecosystem for yourself. But the part, again, that people are missing is that people are tapping into passions that they care deeply about, and that's what drives them. Again, it's not the prerequisite for success. Like, you can kind of copy somebody's formula, copy their playbook, copy their posting style. You can get some views, you can, get some attention, get levels of these things. But when things get hard, or if the success comes too quick, you're gonna bow out. And maybe it's just a cash grab for you, but I think when it's rooted in something that is way more intentional, in something that you're truly passionate about, that is the nirvana. And that's when the flow just continues to happen. So I think that was just, again, some amazing insight from Jordan. And you can look back at his life and see that's kind of how he gave it up, right? He sacrificed a lot to be the greatest basketball player he could possibly be. And, he took some breaks here and there. We're not gonna get into the conspiracies behind those breaks, but he ultimately kept coming back because he loved the game. And everything that he's been able to do, from Gatorade sponsorships to Heinz to having his own fragrances to countless magazine covers and features, and now him being into racing, and Jordan Brand becoming its own sub-brand within Nike, that's $1 billion business, and him signing athletes. None of that happens if he doesn't commit to the game in a way that is not normal. It's like it's a burning love that you have to have for these things. And as we talked about it in the previous video, with Cade Cunningham, and how talent isn't everything, right? And so I'm going to advocate for building your brand, but it's not something that you do as opposed to loving it. It's doing them in connection is what makes it all pop in a major way. So yeah, as you're looking to either kick off a creative journey or dive deeper into these things, and yes, you need the tactics and things to stay consistent, but it's hard, even if you're doing what you love, there's going to be days where you don't want to do it, right? And that's where the passion and the discipline and the dedication can kind of carry you through, and kind of build that with the larger picture in mind. And you hear it all the time, but it's the truth. You can't fall in love with the results. You have to fall in love with the process, because the process and the mundane things are the things you have to do daily, weekly, yearly, to have what seems like overnight success. So just lock in on what you actually care about, and make sure that is the root of why you're doing what you're doing. And that'll give your personal brand clarity, that'll give you focus, that'll give you intention, right? And then just tapping into that desire just fuels it. And that's what the best brands, the biggest brands, the strongest brands are all built off of this principle, right? And that's who you want to emulate. You don't want to emulate the flash in the pan guys. That's a get rich quick scheme. That's a scam. That's not going to be successful. So listen to MJ, value the mastery, value the craft, build a brand. The logos will come later. So I appreciate you guys tapping in with me today. This one's a little bit quicker as we coming off the holiday, getting things back up to speed. So I appreciate y'all tapping in. Let me know if you agree. Who has the strongest brand in basketball? Is it MJ? Has LeBron passed him? Somebody else that I might be missing? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you guys. Again, share this with somebody you think it might resonate with, and subscribe if you haven't already. I'm looking forward to bringing you guys more content like this heading into the new year. Might take a little hiatus over the holidays. I'm thinking of kind of revamping the positioning of this, but in the meantime, I'll keep giving you guys some stuff. I want to do sort of a end of year kind of recap and highlight some of the biggest campaigns and marketing moments from the year. So let me know what was your favorite campaign from the year. I'll probably do a top 10 or top 5, but still workshopping how we bring it to you. But in the meantime, stay sharp, stay on point, stay creative, and I'll catch y'all next time.